Yes, the Pulse. We back again. What is good, good people? Good to see everybody on this warm Wednesday. Actually, I forgot. I have to do applause in a different spot now. I totally forgot. No, I'm not gonna worry about that too much. Here we go. Yeah, yeah, just that fast, just that easy. All right. So as we get back into it, Deuce will be in after a while. And we will jump right into it. Before we do, however, I'd just like to say and see how everybody's week has gone so far. How y'all been doing?
Good.
Good. What's today? I'm just kidding.
That's what it feels
Oh,
like, right?
yeah.
It's flying.
That was weird. That jumped back on me. I thought I muted it. I didn't. Yeah, it's hump day. We all trying to work it out. Deuce should be on in a second, as I said. And so, just for his benefit and his benefit primarily, uh, I will say the disclaimer before he gets here. Disclaimer: views expressed are those held by the author and do not represent any other organization, company, corporation, or entity. With that being said, oh, hey Maya, how's it going?
Hey,
Yes,
Mom.
Mhm.
there it is. There it is. Afternoon to the Pulse. I'm sure we'll have a lot more people hopping in as we get ready to get this started. So, the first thing that we are going to actually get ready to start out on um, is something that we didn't get a chance to dig into last week. And I know Rich wanted to get into this one a little bit. And today we will make time for it. Today we will make time for it. And that is Loomer's language.
Ah,
Yes. Loomer's language. And I will go back and I'll read. So about 5 days ago at this point, roughly, uh, for no real reason outside of a disagreement about who Charlie Kirk was.
Mhm.
In my that's my assessment of it. The often bigoted Laura Loomer, who is also buddies with the current president, had a lot to say about Representative Jasmine Crockett, and she started out by saying this: uh, Jasmine Crockett, Jasmine Crockett's homeboys and homegirls are big mad. I called her what she is, ghetto. I guess I finna watch my back. God forbid Shaniqua pops a cap in my ass. Right? That was one. She continued by saying, it hurts my heart that we have ghetto black bitches who hate America serving in Congress. These are direct quotes, right? Now, this is not a left wing radical as they've been pushing here lately. This is again somebody who's given the president enough advice to actually go out and fire people. So she also said, "What? Why are people surprised? This is typical DEI Shanika behavior, right?" And so, yeah, that's where we are. But it's not like we ever left it in America. But that's where we are
Right.
in in its entirety, or in its platforming right now.
This go round. Yeah.
This go round. And so I'll start with you, Rich, because I know you've been hanging on for a while. You had some stuff written down last week, and I don't want to take that from you. So by all means, please get in on it.
all right. So I'll make this quick. I was in the spirit last week. So now you've asked me to hold that spirit for a whole week, but I can hold it. So, ghetto, okay, black bitches. See, when I defend President Trump and the Republican Party on certain issues, and then one of their people, one, comes out and says something like this. And then people ask me why I'm not a Republican. No, I'm not a Democrat either. I left that party years ago, a couple years ago. But to say ghetto black bitches, some people say maybe we're trying to go to a race war. This to get us there. Now, I kept my composure last week because I was getting ready to get on my Facebook page and Instagram and Twitter, and I was going to go to work. But I knew the type of person I am. Once I open my mouth, I don't stop talking. Now, some people who helped elect me to office, many of them are white conservatives. So I don't know if they support her the way they support, or they supported Charlie Kirk. I don't know. But what is right is right. What is wrong is wrong. If I was to come out here and say, white bitches, how long do you think I'm going to last? See, when I was at the union, this union that's run by Democrats, and they removed me from office, one of those white women said that I could go suck a dick. And her daughter said I could go eat a dick. So that's why this Laura Loomer situation touched a nerve with me. Because if I had told a white woman in the union to go suck a big black dick and tell me how she enjoyed it, do you think I would still have my career in the state of California? I'm going to tell you no.
It's not even in California. I don't care what state you would have done that in.
Fair enough.
In these United States of America.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it didn't even have to be black. It could just be like what they said to you, you know?
But I'm just saying, a white woman felt comfortable enough, and she's a Democrat, to tell me to go suck a dick. And her daughter said I could go eat a dick because one of the staff was asking for their support on an issue we were doing. And then another person called me a motherfucker on video. Another person called me a dick on video. And they said, maintain your composure. Because as the great Michelle Obama said, when they go low, we go high. That's some black folks. That's those highly sophisticated, highly dignified superstar black folks. You know, and Lynn and Stephanie probably know all these black folks. The superstars. I don't really know the superstars. I know some other ones. They're not really ghetto, but if you take them there, they can show you a side. So I think, and I like Jasmine Crockett. I don't agree with everything she says, but she's from Missouri, so I'm biased. She's a black woman, so I'm biased. She went to Country Day, and me and Mr. Glass know we don't know no black folks going to Country Day, except I knew one other sister who went to Country Day.
Right.
So she had a prestigious education. Well, what's wrong with that? Why can't a black person be a Bill Cosby, a Dr. Huxtable? I forgot the wife's name, Mrs. Huxtable on the show. Why can't a black person?
Yeah.
So why can't a black person not have to come to the ghetto, not have to talk about, well, I overcame selling drugs and you know, I did this and I did that, but you know, I made it. Because white folks love to hear that.
Mm.
But in her case, she went to a prestigious high school, then went to college, then went to law school and graduated and got licensed to practice law, I believe, in the state of Texas. So when Laura Loomer says ghetto black bitches, now I wish she had called one of the female black rappers that, one of them sisters, a ghetto black bitch. Because I can guarantee you, they got a few words back for you.
She would have been dog walked.
Now I hear a lot of black folks got on social media and defended Congressman Crockett. Congressman Crockett took the high road, walked away from the issue. And no, I respect that because she had already checked Congressman Marjorie Taylor Greene about stuff. Because Marjorie Taylor Greene tried to set her off, and she did. And so if you set a black woman off when she's trying to conduct business, you're going to catch one. And then when she went off, AOC came out behind Jasmine Crockett and backed her up and went off too. And that's when those men tried to be sexist in Congress about 6 to 8 months ago and tried to say, okay, we can't have that here. But yet the prior year, there was 2 white men in Congress getting ready to go fist to fist. But that was okay because that was making her great again for masculinity purposes.
Boys.
That's about as professional as I can be.
Okay. All right. So what about her free speech?
Absolutely. Laura Loomer has the right to call someone a ghetto black bitch. When we as black folks, if we have to call a white person a white hold on, wait a minute, because I don't use the word redneck because that's a racist word. So when black folks want to go at white folks and call them things, because we're trying to fight for equality, because we're not coming from a plane of being superior. So yes, Laura Loomer should have her right to free speech. Now, if you're saying that her right to free speech is that she's inciting hate by calling a black woman a ghetto black bitch, if that's inciting hate, I don't know. Ask the United States Supreme Court. Let them tell you.
So
I don't know what's free speech and what's not free speech.
Sure.
Because they say if you're inciting hatred and violence, we know that's not protected. But if you call a sister a ghetto black bitch, I don't know what's coming.
First, I mean, you know, the whole racial element. First thing you want to start talking about is race. Well, you inserted race, and with free speech comes consequences, because that's trying to incite a riot. Those are what those words are known as quote unquote fighting words. When you say something like that, you are usually fired up enough to say that you bringing it, so you want whatever they got. It's an invitation.
Yeah, people forget who protects free speech. It's just the government. All it really means is you can say some stuff and the government won't come get you for what you said. Your employer will come get you for what you said.
And them people in them streets.
Your groups will come get you for what you said. You know, your sponsors, right? Nappy headed hoes. Remember that guy?
Oh God.
Remember?
Yeah.
He forgot. You know who their biggest sponsor was? American Express. You know who was the CEO of Express?
Mr. Chenault?
Ken Chenault.
Ted Chenault. Yeah.
So, you know, people, look, you got to think a couple. Remember when the most popular PR person in the world got on a plane in Europe, made a joke about AIDS, and by the time she landed in South Africa, she was fired?
Yeah.
Oh, I remember that one.
Yeah, that wasn't the government. That's what people lose sight of. That's why I loved when I was in the military. You know, I knew where America stopped.
Oh,
and where another country started.
Yeah.
And I would see people all the time talking about my rights, and you're not in America.
Right.
You don't have rights. You don't have American rights.
And you still have to walk out to the parking lot.
You just don't have that stuff. You know, I'm harking back to one time I was in Trieste, Italy. It was about a dozen of us. We went to a nightclub, and the bouncer said no Americans. And about 3 or 4 people that don't look like me still tried to go in. And the guy had to say it again. No Americans. Now the black and browns, we knew what time it was.
Right.
We like, all right, let's go find a place where we are welcome. But the people that look like Laura Loomer didn't think that
applied to
them. And I had fun walking from that place to the next place. They were sick of me. But it was the teachable moment wasn't even a phrase back then, but that's what it was. It was a teachable moment. So people don't understand two things Americans don't understand, in my opinion: the Second Amendment and the First Amendment. Freedom of speech, where that applies. Like, I can say what I want to say wherever I want to. No, you can't.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Just like the example of yelling fire in a crowded theater.
Right.
You will have consequences if they find out who you are.
All that doesn't happen is your government doesn't walk you up a plank and put a rope around your neck and kick up the stool.
Wait a minute, and y'all both make two strong separate points that are critical to the First Amendment. One is you can't incite violence. You can't say there's a fire in the movie theater because they made a ruling on that. And so the government will hold you responsible for that. But what you said, Lynn, about you may say something that's kind of hostile, and the government say, okay, that's your free speech. But your job may say, when you fill out this application, we stated that you couldn't do such things, and you said it, you up out of here.
Yeah,
but they're two separate but really critical to that
Right.
First Amendment.
Yeah, people are making a living by way of a contract, and they haven't read their contract.
Right.
I tell you something that's deeper. Because she tried to push the racial button. Jasmine didn't go for it. Congressman Crockett didn't go for it.
I'm proud of her for not doing it. It was
Mhm.
baited. It
But
just
she had already
cool. You know what I'm saying? Like if someone is trying to bully you, and because
well, my thing is she checked Congressman Marjorie Taylor Greene. She checked her. They got into it bad on the floor. And I thought the men on the floor, the congressmen, were being sexist, saying, "Oh, we won't have that here." No, you let the women
don't know how to handle
express themselves. Oh yeah, they got into it bad a few months ago. She called her a blonde, a bad built blonde.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, it went viral. It went viral. What was it?
She tricked them because when she was
blonde, bad build.
It was something because what she did is Jasmine Crockett said, "Well, point of order, can I ask a question?" And so they got quiet and they let her ask a question, and then she roped them because Marjorie Taylor Greene was like, with these fake eyelashes or something. You know, when sisters, you talk about they fake eyelashes. Oh my God. That's like talking about their hair wig. Oh, no.
But it's not, but this is the funny part. When you say things like that, that's what women wear. Everybody, white women wear weave extensions.
Right. We got it from white women.
I was going to say, look, because they didn't like our hair and they dogged us for it, and we took the Kool-Aid, or drank the Kool-Aid, and then and we had to cover our hair or cut it out, all that kind of crazy stuff. And now we know how to do whatever we can wear our hair any way we want to, straight. But like they do the same thing. It's just like most women, I would say, will tell you they've had extensions, anything, or like they wear fake eyelashes. Some people get filler. It's not just a black or white thing, but they try to put the negative stereotype on us.
But this is the tricky thing about this Laura Loomer. And see, Mr. Glass has been talking about this for the last almost 2 years since I've been coming on here. About this white Christian nationalist situation. Now, they say that they're not racist. That's what they claim. So they call it their white nationalism. And so what they're trying to do is they're trying to protect their white culture. Okay, I respect that. And that they're worried that America won't be majority white. Now, here's where I'm going to throw you for a loop. I don't blame them. If you came over here as a white person, thought you were God's gift, Jesus is white, and you've been told you've been the greatest since day one, and you had to enslave some Africans to help them. You had to take the Southwest from the Mexicans. You had to take all the rest of the land from Native Americans because they weren't good enough, because they didn't have land titles and they didn't have no long rifle. So now all of a sudden you realize that, your majority may not be majority anymore by 2050 or 2055. And you're a little worried. And every time you turn around, you see a white woman with a brother. Now you see sisters with white men. So your bloodline, your natural white race bloodline is getting diluted, and you're worried.
Well, it was already that. Like, let's not act like that's not a mutation. But so just to throw this out here, right? What are the parallels or the differences between Laura Loomer's words versus Jimmy Kimmel? Right? So
go there at all. Yeah.
Well, it was perceived that he had gone too far with mentioning the late Charlie Kirk in a disparaging manner.
His killer, not him. His killer.
Yeah. His killer.
Because if you just look at the words, it's like, what? Where did all of this come from? But Laura.
Well, I'm asking because going back to a previous point, if he got properly fired, and we know he didn't, right? But let's just assume he had gotten properly fired, and there was no push from the administration about that whatsoever, right? Is his speech okay? Is it still freedom of speech? Because There's something else that I'm going to ask after this, or I'm going to state that I had gotten into it with somebody about. But where does the boundaries of freedom of speech?
But we've already said it. If you incite violence, you don't get freedom of speech. The government's not going to have that. If you say something that's considered hostile, your work that you work for, if they have an agreement with you that you're going to act a certain way and say certain things, whether you're out on the job or off the job, they can let you go for your freedom of speech. So
I believe what he said was an insult. What Loomer said was a flat out insult to a person, and what Jimmy Kimmel said was it was a statement, and he brought up people, but he
made fun of MAGA, basically.
Yeah. It was like a group, but it was. I didn't believe that. I mean, to them it would be fighting words just because you had their name in your mouth, but Loomers literally had her name, Alonzo, had her name in her mouth. You know what I'm saying? To me, that was inciting. She was inciting a riot.
So is it a point of fighting, or is it provocation?
Well, look at it this way. There's no need to interpret what Loomer said.
Right.
Yeah,
What Kimmel got canceled for was an interpretation of the way he classified the shooter. Now, to me, look, if your mom and dad is MAGA, guess what?
Yeah, you MAGA.
If your mom and dad is Jewish, and I really don't know you,
yeah,
you're Jewish.
Yeah.
If your mom and dad are Italian, and your name is Alfredo, I'm going to, make the leap that you are. So basically, what he was saying was the guy's parents are, MAGA. So they spent the whole weekend trying to distance themselves because they went down, start with the president saying that it was a radical leftist, blah, blah, blah. God wasn't even dead 24 hours, and the president went there. So then as time started to go on, we find, oh, wow, this guy's parents are straight red hats. Mm-hmm. And he's a comedian.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, I didn't have one problem with what he said. Because if what he said had not been connected to a death, there would have been no problem.
Wait, you talking about Jimmy Kimmel?
Yeah.
What
he said was connected to a highly publicized murder.
Yeah, somebody that was murdered.
But he wasn't talking about the murder.
I know. That's why I said connected.
Yeah.
It was connected
to
the murder.
Language was.
Well, Loomer is straight calling you
an insult.
A racial, racist insult. So you don't even have to interpret what she's saying.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
With Kimmel, people wearing red hats had to clutch their pearls and be offended.
Yeah.
Had to find, they had to create an offense where when I just call you out your name, there's no, because if Jimmy had said, turns out the killer of Charlie Kirk was a red hat MAGA dude, just like the rest of them. He didn't say that. He said that they were trying to distance themselves from him, which was true. And the truth is what gets you in your feelings more than anything else.
So I'm looking at exactly what he said here off this USA Today.
Mm-hmm.
And it says here, this is what Jimmy Kimmel said about Charlie Kirk. We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them.
One of their own.
One of them.
Yeah.
And doing everything they can to score political points from it.
Yeah.
And what was Loomer's comment?
Loomer's comment was about the ghetto black bitches
working
in Congress, referring to Jasmine Crockett.
So just to come pull back around, Deuce, where are you at on this?
What do you mean? Give me a little bit more. Or like which one? The whole thing?
Yeah, Loomer's comments, all those comments, right? How are we to take that, the exercise of freedom of speech, and how far does this go?
I think they're all connected because Loomer is making these comments. She's made comments before, but never anything this brash, right? She's coming full throttle with it now. She's going for the jugular because she feels comfortable, because the political environment allows them to feel comfortable to throw insults of this nature. If you're attached to MAGA, if you don't have that MAGA shield, which must be made of vibranium, then you're open to what Rich was talking about when I came in, which I think was talking about. You're open to the interpretations of free speech,
Sure.
and you're open to the ridicule, you're open to the consequences that the political apparatus to throw on you because they don't like what you're saying. But it doesn't work the other way around.
But she's been saying this kind of stuff. You don't get banned from years ago from Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, because she was saying stuff about those who worship Allah.
Was she that? But was she that?
Yes.
Was she that bold with those comments?
Yeah, this is nothing new from her.
Yeah, this is
nothing new from her.
That's her platform. And so I told a person not too long ago, before we pushed forward to war-torn home soil, I told a person not too long ago, we were having a back and forth, and my statement was, there is a boundary of opinion, and that boundary is where opinion butts up against fact. Then at that point, it doesn't matter what your opinion is if it's oppositional to what facts are, right? And I said there is a direct link between consequences and actions, right? So freedom of speech, like Rich said earlier, it comes with consequences. And we were actually talking about Charlie Kirk, and she agreed that freedom has consequences.
Okay.
Freedom of speech has consequences. And then she tried to hurry up and switch and pivot on me and say, well, now what you're doing, you're part of the radical left, and you are saying that what happened to Charlie Kirk is justified. And I told her that's a whole paragraph that you just made up from off of Fox News and Newsmax that tries to actually literally pivot the truth about who Charlie Kirk was, right? Leads also into what Laura Loomer is and what she does. There are actual consequences to talking and using and exercising your freedom of speech. And if you're not responsible with it, you're going to get those consequences, regardless of who you are, right?
I would argue Charlie Kirk suffered those consequences.
Absolutely.
I don't say he deserved them.
No. That's not the same thing.
He suffered the consequences
It's cause
of
and effect.
what he was saying out there in the world.
But here's the funny thing about this, because I wrote this down. I just wrote it. So Mr. Glass is saying about, he always makes that distinction between opinion and fact. And I'm always the one pushing back on that. You know why I say that? Because you have a person in the White House elected a second time, in his mind a third time, but a second time. So every case that goes to the United States Supreme Court, are they ruling on their opinion or on fact or on prior precedent or whatever they want to do that entangles both? Because I think precedent can include an opinion or a fact. And
absolutely.
So in this case, Mr. Kirk should not have been shot. He was expressing his political opinion. Now, some people said that was inciting violence. Now, some people said that Dr. King, when he was inspiring people years ago, he was inspiring violence. Even though he was doing it peacefully, he was causing a disruption. And that's why he lost his life. Same for Malcolm X, same for Medgar Evers, same for those little girls in the church in Birmingham, Alabama. So from their perspective, we're always causing confusion.
Yeah, I heard a lady today, I think I forwarded to you. She was on Instagram. I hate that I don't have it with me, but she was saying that the problem is that, like Deuce said, they were getting, speaking of white America, or that side of the spectrum, they've gotten too comfortable with us on our side, so comfortable they're not afraid of us at all. what they're afraid of is that they're so comfortable with us that they think that we'll behave like they would behave when adversity strikes, like the whole racial thing, and that they're not really afraid of us at all because they're so comfortable that they say and do all kinds of things and nothing happens to them. Mm. But at the same time, as far as fear of a black planet is concerned, we said this last week. I think it was you, Jay Glass, that was saying that we won't retaliate like them, but they don't even come up to see what people would do if we were, I guess, in charge, for lack of a better phrase. Like, that was dudes talking about the tiki torches and all that kind of.
Oh, yeah.
That ain't us. And it's just kind of like the whole fear of a black planet. Yeah. Blah, blah,
blah. But listen to this. When they were doing the Black Lives Matter movement.
That they say and do anything. And I hate to say it, but we're kind of used to it.
But wait a minute. When they were doing the Black Lives Matter movement, and some black folks was doing that and marching. White folks from the right was just sitting back watching. And so for every good 2 or 3 black folks that was marching, you would have 2 or 3 knuckleheads with their pants sagging, robbing and looting. Now, they've already stereotyped us for all we want to do is have sex, have kids we can't take care of, rob and steal. And then you get your black ass out here on video and do it. And then you come up with this new, we do all these music genres, but this last one, hip hop and rap, call it hip hop. And then you want to demonize other black men, calling them the N-word. To where you got white kids, Mexican kids, and Asian kids growing up saying the N-word to each other in terms of endearment. Mm-hmm. But see, and the white man said from the very beginning, I don't want you around these blacks because they're inferior to us and they will hurt us. They will hurt our values. But your values came from Europe, but Europe got its values, named after a black woman, from the motherland. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you can't tell young black folks to not do these things because they say, well, Richard, we're exercising our freedom of speech. So you're exercising your freedom of speech, saying the N-word that was used to destroy us. And you're saying it on music that's being sold to people outside the community, and they're listening to it and allegedly supporting you. Allegedly supporting you.
They're just listening to
I don't disagree with you wholeheartedly, but where I am with that is there's an understanding that we were sold a picture and a vision of the American dream, which is the foundation of capitalism. And there's the artist Common, he said this in a lyric, monkeys dancing around for MTV spots, right? So it's the same people that's selling the propaganda about who we are that's actually selling the music because we've got a ton of conscious music that's not pushed in the same way, right? And I don't want that to be left out of the conversation because I don't disagree with you on the point of how we interact with each other as a culture, but I also don't want to allow the definition of their definition to take away what we want to be and what we want to do. Because that, although it's packaged and it's sold like crap, it's still a part of our Miles Davis, as it were, part of our coolness, which is why they try.
Right, but of all the music,
with the Black Lives Matter, that is what they chose to show, because the masses of the people of us were out there protesting peacefully. But it's just like news. I'm a former reporter. The person that comes up and wants to talk is Bubba, is Tyrone. Those are the people that want to talk. People like you and me, we kind of busy. We're doing something. We don't want to be bothered. We're focused. That's what we are. We're focused. But that's what is chosen across the board. When you choose to focus on that, or the negative, or else if the right people that you want to talk to don't come up, then you have to do what you got to do to make that story, happen. And there's still ways to, get around it and still make, valid points and everything. But that's who comes up.
But of all the music genres, from country that came from black folks, rhythm and blues, jazz, gospel, the blues.
Yes.
all these great music genres. Some people say even classical with Beethoven being a black man in Europe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This hip hop is a little different because you have brothers and sisters in hip hop whose ability to speak words is so phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's off the chart. Even Jay-Z.
Poet. Yeah.
But because certain ones will use the N-word. I remember when Kanye came out, and this all goes back to Laura Loomer feeling comfortable about saying this. When Kanye came out and he had that song Gold Digger, I mean, that song was hitting. My God. In your refrain, you saying she ain't gonna mess with no. Okay. And now, and it's so strong. Sinbad's playing it in his comedy thing. The song is so phenomenal. Kanye is so phenomenal. It sweeps America. And Jay-Z's been saying the N-word in his songs from the get-go. And so was Tupac. But there's something different about how Tupac and Biggie, when they said it, it was different how they did it and how they kind of stayed within the community. They kind of go outside the community.
Again, that's like with the free speech.
Yeah.
Them being able to do that and to be able to coin a word
that was supposed to destroy us, to uplift us.
Yeah, but because if somebody calls you that, I mean, you just get to a point where you're conditioned. It's just like, okay, and you said that, okay, look, and it's like some people have argued we've taken it and made it our own. So it's like you can't hurt me with that anymore. But like when you're that brave and brash to do it in public amongst everybody, look, in the government or, even allude to it, then it's just like, well, again, what did you think would happen?
Well, but wait a minute. Let's go back to when she was born, about why she's so comfortable. She was born May 21st, 1993. And between, I would say, 1986, 87.
You talking about Laura Loomer?
Yes.
Wait, she was born in the 90s?
She looked modest.
Oh, let me look at the picture again. No, I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong. I just need to justify what I see with my eyes.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. When have I ever said something that wasn't 100% factual on this? And then, except for the Federal Reserve, because that's an opinion-based thing. Okay. She was born May 21st, 1993. So when rap music really took off from the middle, I would say from the middle 80s to the early 90s, when crack cocaine took off, they were kind of like sister and brother. They worked together. That's when she was born. And that's when the N-word started going outside the black community.
Well, you mean in music, because that's been outside our black community.
All right, so what you're mapping really is gangster rap. Because that in early 90s, that's when NWA was allowed onto the radio. Because I heard NWA in the mid 80s when I was in San Diego in the Navy.
Wait a minute. So since you and I are almost similar age, in the mid 80s, rap was still in the black community. Because hell, you know what? I'm gonna tell you how I know for sure. Because not every place got BET, especially in the country. So when BET came out, how did they really get going? Off the black comedian and off the black rap. And then once MTV allowed the rap to go on their station, it blew up.
With Michael Jackson being the first one, but
pushing. Had to fight for that. Michael Jackson fought like hell for that.
Yeah, but I want to, because I can talk about music all night, truth be told, and as well.
I'm relating this back to Laura Loomer. When you keep saying, why does she feel so comfortable? And I'm telling you one of the reasons why she feels so comfortable. And then President Trump being in the White House and the percentage of the Republican base, I would say a small percentage of the Republican base is probably racist. But from 11% up to about 45 to 50% of the Republican Party, there's a certain level of prejudice that they have.
Sure.
A certain level, and it's pronounced. Is it racist? Maybe they're sympathetic to the racists, but they have a certain level of prejudice.
Okay. So Deuce, I'm going to push this one over to you, and we're talking about. I know you gotta dip soon. War on home soil. The president of the United States mentioned during his address to senior leader professionals of all branches of government, along with, it almost happened. I got to make sure I maintain my Spartan right now while I'm trying to describe this, along with Pete Hegseth. But he continued to say that there's a war here and we need to be prepared for war.
Yeah.
be prepared for war during his speech. Let's pivot to that a little bit. Talk. Where are you at with that? How is that looking? How's that shaping up within the field of the military? And what's the word that's being pushed? No beards.
Well, hey man, Glass is 2 N-words, right? And we can't say them. We know one's nuclear. The other one,
it's an N-word.
People want to know.
Deuce. When he said those 2 N-words you can't say, dude.
This picture.
Deuce. When he said there were 2 N-words you can't say, I read that another way. Before
you get there, Deuce, drill down on what you were about to say, because I know you had a long day today.
Oh yeah. So I had one thing, but then me and Rich had a conversation the other day. Thanks, Rich, for what you sent me. I seen this guy on TikTok. I can't remember what he was saying. I can't remember who he was, but what he was describing was the building blocks of fascism, right? What you talked about. Also, he talked about Russia. Russia has an oligarchy, right? Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Oligarchy. He said, if you look at what's happening in America and the silos, it doesn't make sense. But if you piece the blocks together, right? You put the puzzle together, you can start to see the picture. Destabilizing the dollar, taking the power away from the Fed, right? And suppressing the voice of the people. Centralizing wealth at an even higher stratosphere than what it already was to create a Russian-like oligarchy. Because the people in Russia, they are filthy rich and they have absolute power. No one can challenge them outside of Putin. The people don't have a voice, right?
Right.
So when I heard that, I looked back at the things that are happening and I started to say, wow, maybe I'm watching a masterpiece in play. And I thought that it was stupidity because I was only looking at the individual pieces and not the whole puzzle. And if you look at it, the value of the dollar is depressed. The Fed is starting to bend to what the requests of the administration are. The federal government is buying equity in multiple companies. Is that not government controlled within that company? Who in the government owns that? So many questions with that, right? So now to the point where you have these corporations lobbying for favor within the government to get that. So that's one thing. And then going back to the training grounds, that's a key word. The U.S. Army, the military, the active duty military cannot operate on U.S. soil. However, we do train here, right? We train at Bragg, we train at Hood,
Hunter Liggett,
we train at Liggett,
Knox.
Right? We train at NTC, Knox, right? McCoy. We train, and something key that he said that these cities should be training grounds. So I wonder if that's not a loophole around the law. Not that we're going there to enforce, we're going there to train. We're doing live action training.
Right. Yeah.
And here's a scenario right in front of you. I think he just laid out a loophole that who's going to stop that? Who's going to challenge that? So I got to say, man, it's scary. I'm going to end it with this. I was asked this question because before we knew what was going to happen, we thought that the generals were going to have to pledge an oath to Trump. That was one of the bets you can make. Either they're all getting fired, pledge an oath, a lot of crazy stuff. Somebody asked me if that were to happen, and they said everyone in the service had to pledge an oath, what would you do? I said, well, I'm close to retirement, pledge, hell, whatever you want me to say, I give you the lip service. My line will be drawn when you have to make me do action, right? That's a different thing. But wow, is that lie? Where did that come from?
No, that's
Is that from the meeting?
A backdrop. It's just a backdrop.
Oh, okay. All right, man. I'm about to say, hold on, man. But I think that's a conversation that's being had, man. People are asking themselves, what would it take for them to really make different choices within their career?
Hey, Jay Glass, with the backdrop that you just showed us, of course, like, you know, 1,000 things are running through my mind. But why do you think that Chicago would be a good training ground? Is it because of, you know, the number of deaths that occur,
No.
like Detroit and St. Louis, and you know what I mean?
No, it's absolutely not because of that. Because there are other cities that have a higher population and rate of murder that dwarfs Chicago.
Chicago's not number one.
No. Wait a minute.
Not number one. Chicago is not number one at
I
all.
didn't say they were number one. But what city? There's only one city in the South that maybe has a higher number of murders than
That's not
Chicago.
true. St. Louis does. St. Louis does.
No. I said in the South or the Deep South.
The
That's
Memphis.
in New Orleans.
Baton Rouge, New Orleans, as well as a city in Mississippi. They all beat Chicago.
Per
Mississippi.
capita? No. See, now I'm going to argue about the numbers because if you go by per capita,
Mississippi.
Let's look this up. Hold on.
Mississippi.
I'm gonna check it too.
Yeah, I'm not surprised with Mississippi. My stepdad, God rest his soul, he was born in Coldwater, Mississippi. And he used to say, it was a joke when I was little. He'd say, Stuffy, where's cold water? He taught me to tell his friends next to hot water. That's how, you know, small it was. And, but he would always say, look, I don't like my home because they still scared of white folks. And he had to get up out of there because he, you know, he couldn't keep taking the disrespect. And quite honestly, the culture is the same because my stepbrother says the same thing. He goes back and forth to get horses, you know, and dogs and stuff like that. And he always just says how ignorant it is out there. Other than his family, he couldn't be there. He says that even, you know, after all these years, it still hasn't changed. And, you know, he's way younger than our stepdad. But he's like, nope. White folks still crazy out there, and look, Negroes still scared of white folks.
Yeah. So I saw y'all confirming.
Yeah. So I got St. Louis that came up. I did a per capita search.
Yeah, St. Louis definitely is up there. Detroit, you know. So
yeah, Detroit is like number 4 or 5.
If you're asking me the reason why they started in like Chicago or Memphis, which started happening today as I was listening to the BS that they were spewing. Even out on the East Coast, and one of the reasons why they wanted to start on the West Coast with LA is because these are all port cities, right? Geographically and strategically speaking, it's easier. Once you can control those main areas, you can deploy things a lot faster, right?
Because it is a huge city.
Yeah, it's
think about that.
Multicultural too, even though everybody's divided.
Yeah, it's APOD, SPOD, points of embarkment that you can actually get to. You can reach by steamboat as well as other different measures. You can also
LA, New Orleans, Chicago, Memphis. Portland's not a port city, is it?
Yeah, of course it is.
New York.
He hasn't said New York.
No. And he's not going to.
Exactly.
He said the second largest city in LA. So question then, why not New York?
Well, because what he's doing right now to New York is he's trying to financially break them. He's restricting $18 billion for he's restricting releasing $18 billion to fix their infrastructure. Right. So
he's meddling in their mayor race too. The mayor hasn't been selected, right? The race is still going on.
It's still happening. Yeah. So
but Adams is out.
Yes.
I listened. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, he talked him out of it, right?
Him and Como, because I listened to an interview from Como, and they asked him specifically about Adams because he was trailing farther than Como, and he asked him, "Have you had that conversation with him to ask him to bow so that his vote can go to you?" He talked around it. He didn't say yes. He didn't say no. He gave a very political answer. So when I saw that later, I was like, "Huh."
Yeah, I was trying to tell people. I know there's a lot of stuff that I talk, but I do know a little bit. I don't know everything, but I know some things.
Well, hold on.
That's violent crimes and property. I looked up murder.
Yeah, I looked
homicide.
up murder rate too. And so St. Louis was number 1 for 100,000.
St. Louis is number 1
for 24. In year 24.
All right, I'll write this down. So what we can do for the next podcast, because this is going to be a continuing thing, is look up the per capita rates, look up the the types of crime, so on and so forth, and just to get the actual details of it. And what you're going to end up finding out is the blue cities will fall out in the red areas, red populations.
Yeah.
Higher Republican, higher right-wing sides are going to begin to rise up. They're going to bubble up to the top. That's what you're going to actually do.
Listen to this. Every time you talk about like this, every time you say it like that, and that tone, Mr. Glass, there's somebody else on the other side talking that same tone who has no type of sincerity. So anytime you throw out numbers, it's always going to be subject to interpretation of the numbers. And then do you trust the data? Who did the data?
The answer
subject to interpretation.
The reason why America is falling
factual, the numbers, because what numbers that we may see.
The reason why America is falling into fascism, since we're actually at the last step before we hang out on the porch and we just give the rest of our freedoms away. The reason why we're literally right there at fascism because everything is subjective, right?
Yes.
And that's what's happened with the Trump administration. And it started happening with the first administration with the phrasing of alt facts. That's how.
But you're hold on. This is where Liberty Twitcher, when he was asking were the Democrats racist, and yes, they are too, Liberty Twitcher, even though I remember you from months ago when you never told us who you was. Yeah, I remember you remember.
Bro, Rich, don't forget, bro.
Oh, no, I don't forget that kind of stuff. Because when somebody comes on here, and I know they're not truly sincere, because when I speak to y'all are sincere. And what you say what you mean what you say. Liberty Twitcher, I don't know who the hell you are. I don't know where you're from. You could be from Russia, trying to raise up my blood pressure. And I don't need nobody to help raise my blood pressure. It's already doing quite well in the higher category.
Oh, man. You got to get it together. Rich.
I know it. So, trust me, sister, I'm on it.
It's the killer, literally.
I'm saying that because there is objectivity. It's a thing.
No, it's not.
It is a thing.
No, I'm gonna tell you why it's not. No, you're right. You're right in the spirit. But ever since the internet came on, and when the evilness of our country was starting to get exposed to the world, it wasn't just black folks talking about racism and all the things that was going wrong in this country. But when it got exposed to the world, the internet pushed back and said, we're going to throw so much out there at you. You don't know what's true and what's not true. Well, so every time something goes to the United States Supreme Court, if it goes against Trump, you say, yeah, I told you he was wrong. But if it supports Trump, then you say, oh, well, they're crazy.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
All I know is that the evil that was trying to be hidden is in the White House right now.
Yeah, so there are some things that the president has done that and the Supreme Court has ruled on and that I was actually wrong on, like when with the whole LA thing, right? The whole LA.
You were wrong because I said right here and told you what they were going to do on that.
Well, they voted against him not to remove that. Who's the Democratic, the Fed chair, not the Fed, the Fed governor.
No, yeah, Cook. No, they said we'll let you do oral argument. For right now, sister, you okay, but we'll let you do oral argument in January, and then we'll decide. But if you're counting those votes on the United States Supreme Court, those 6 conservatives versus 3 liberal, then
3 liberal.
Those 3 liberal are going to back up that black woman just for the fact she's a black woman. Now, can they get 2 others? I think Judge Roberts.
This is why things have become dangerous in America, right? It's because they've switched the term. They've removed objectivity because there is neutrality, right? That actually paints a better picture, right? And they've switched that to ideology, to having people fight against ideology. When you begin to start mentioning, well, this is good and this is evil, that's subjective. That's where subjectivity comes into play. But when you're actually talking objective fact, regardless of how you feel, right? That's boundary in free speech. That's what I was saying before. Just because I feel a certain way and I can say it doesn't make it fact. Just because I don't like President Trump directly, just because I despise Stephen Miller, right? That doesn't mean that some of the things that he's saying aren't fact.
Wait a minute. Here, I'm gonna throw this right back at you. Check this out. And I hope Liberty Twitcher's still listening. Liberty Twitcher. So when you say that Trump is kind of making everything blah, and he's trying to, disrupt and create a fascist society, let me tell you something. You keep talking about facts. Well, there's a fact. I'm a boy or a man, 2 men, another man married to a beautiful woman. Those are facts. But let the Democratic Party tell you, Lynn can turn around tomorrow, put a dress on and say, well, I want to be Venera. That ain't no fact. But the Democratic Party has been trying to push that shit for the last several years. And now you get the pushback from the Republican Party, and some of their pushback is a little racist, some of it. But they're not wrong on that particular point between a man and a woman. And that's why Harry was talking all that talk yesterday about we're going to go back to the foundation. A man's a man, a woman's a woman. We in this military, and we come to destroy you in the name of democracy. That's what we're doing.
You were about to respond.
Well, I was about to say, Rich loves using that crutch about the transgender, about that whole thing. And I get it. I understand the meaning of it. I got it. But I feel like anytime we make a point about X on the MAGA side, I'm not going to say the Republican, the MAGA point, you go back to that one, which we can't argue against.
Because wait a minute. I never said he was completely wrong, but I'm saying if you come from the Republican perspective, then you come right back and say, well, wait a minute. You talk about me confusing the facts, but you're the ones pushing the fact that you want to have a trans athlete. Because remember, I said I have no problem with transgender. I'm going to support you whether you're a man, woman, or both, or bisexual. You do you.
Okay, I got that. So they're mad at the transgender subject. I got that. But that does not justify trying to change the definition of birthright citizenship.
Yes,
that does not just...
Wait a minute. Don't get me going on that. Don't get me going.
Well, Lynn, where y'all at with this part of it? We got to wrap up in a couple of minutes here, but because the dude's got to drop.
What's the question?
Yeah, I'm on what you got.
Birthright citizenship was for the descendants of the enslaved Africans.
I forgot. I opened up another can of worms.
Right. That's when it was introduced for that purpose.
13, 14,
But the way America works is you can then bring other purposes into the fold as time progresses. Yeah. So yeah, it was initially done for us. But then people start coming to America and having babies in America that kind of fit the same.
No, they came on their free volition. No, they did not. The enslaved against his.
No, it's not the same. But see, here's what happens is when you get to interpret.
Interpretation.
When you get to interpret, that's why I like facts. Because facts are hard to dispute. But when people get to interpret, this is the Jimmy Kimmel thing. When people get to interpret what happened, interpret history, interpret the Bible, interpret the Constitution. When we start interpreting things, we're never going to come away with the same exact interpretation. We're going to come away with a whole bunch of different stuff. That's why when you put 2 + 2 up there, you only coming away with one answer. 4. Not 5, not 2.5, but 4. And that's, but that's what creates the opportunity to have these debates and these, power struggles.
Well, and Lynn, I get you on that, but I think what's scary, kind of like to what Glass was saying, Trump does a masterful job of, people always think he's joking, he's being funny. They spit on us, throw him down, and when they tell you get out of the car and do whatever we say, because he has an amazing delivery. And I think people will laugh or say he does, because he's gotten this far, and people always say, well, he's joking, but then we get there. It's not going to be funny when the greatest military on earth is still the American military. Yeah. The greatest weapon America has is the American military, the dollar, debatable. But the dollar is nothing without the backing of the military. To have that weapon turned inside, it's a scary thing. National Guard, sure. The military is a whole nother matter. And I think using them to police the people, I hate that. It changes the perception people have about the military. Countries that do that face a rebellion sooner or later. But I think using those words, training grounds, now it's good versus evil. You can get enough people riled up on that's not really understanding what he's saying to have that happen in the city.
The interpretation, like he said, because they're interpreting it from his standpoint of what the jargon and everything that he's putting out there, the propaganda that he is putting out there. But when people that are sitting around,
I got to jump in this other call, guys. I'm sorry.
Okay, sorry. But when people like, I would say, I need a statistic, because sometimes it doesn't feel like most, but with people that have common sense or who believe in people being treated fairly and, for, I guess, the greater good. I don't know what percentage of the world or America that is. But when we look at the things that are being said and the things that are being allowed, it's like we're waiting for them to sit down, because it's like, well, that wasn't it, because it didn't make sense. You know how ludicrous or how just crazy this is. It's like, oh, well, where's the real truth? Not your truth. But like, where's the balance? Where's the fairness? I just feel like we're waiting for the right thing to happen, because this ain't it.
That's so funny. Well, we are about to move into a new segment, specifically for the Pulse and for the Pulse only. And it's called Around the Horn in 30 Seconds. Oh. And what we do is the last 30 seconds, you give your power line and you sum up everything you need to say. It's almost like final thoughts, but just shorter. So we will start with Stephanie and Lynn.
Go ahead.
I was going to tell you.
All right.
Y'all get a minute. Just to make sure.
No problem. It's funny. I thought we were going to talk about the fact that our government is shut down. We're making this big deal about the military. Guess what they're not getting right now? They're not getting paid.
Yeah.
So, while the way I always feel about it is we in the world make the biggest brouhaha over the exception when we should be focusing on the rule. For instance, in my opinion, most Republicans are not MAGA. They're an exception. Mm-hmm. They're not the rule. But where do we focus? We focus on the exception. Mm-hmm. Most people are not transgender. Mm-hmm. They are an exceptionally small part of our population. But one of the things that everybody fell for during the election was painting the Democrats as being so concerned and overly concerned with that population that it caused, some doubt. And in my opinion, cost that side the election. So we need to stay focused on the rule and not the exception. Because the exception is a distraction, it's a time waster, it's an energy drain, and then the rule, the most of us, the good people on both sides, don't get the attention that they deserve because we're over here dealing with these little exceptions to the rule instead of the rule itself.
Okay, so I don't know if that was 30 seconds.
I stopped watching. Go ahead, Steph. You got it.
Okay, thank you. Based on what he was saying about what I'll do is go not off, but it just add to what he was saying about the good people that are here. With all the things that we keep bringing up, with all the distractions, like you're saying, not saying that they're not going on. The one thing that I find comfort in is the unknown. All day. I find comfort in the unknown because we can stir ourselves up and go nuts and lose our minds. But there is so much that is unseen that we do not have control over, nor do the people that are, that are opposed to us or we're opposed to them. What I'm speaking of is just spiritually. I just look forward to when we come to our time of peace again, because it does exist in the midst of this chaos, and we have to choose to be it, and we have to choose to see it and to believe it. And that's where I am, not ignoring what's going on, but making sure that we're not fighting the people, but what's driving the people.
Got it. Rich.
Okay, so I'll try to be as 30 seconds. First of all, the last few comments by Liberty Twitcher, he makes some valid points. I would love for him to come on and let us know who he is so we can have an intellectual conversation. He makes valid points. All right, so here I go. Andrew Jackson, President Andrew Jackson, I think he was the 7th president, took us off the central bank. They made a record number of attempts until Obama came in. They were trying to kill him, but he stopped the central bank. Later on, President Lincoln printed our own money during the Civil War. He was assassinated, I think, about a year or two later, 1865. 1900, gold standard. President McKinley puts us on the gold standard. All money's backed by gold. 1901, President McKinley is assassinated. JFK, President Kennedy, he was going to stop the central bank. He was killed in 1963. What does this all mean? No, this ain't no fascist society. This is a central bank society. Don't you never forget that. And as long as you got that central bank called the Federal Reserve, don't you worry about President Trump or anyone else. If you cross them, you'll be removed. Period. That's 30 seconds.
All right. I was actually typing something, but so instead of typing it, I'll say it. So this whole consumption with transgenderism in America is a smaller symptom of a huge sickness, right? And a lot of that is an actual caveat to people's personal beliefs in their ideologies, whether it be Christian, Muslim, or anything of that nature, right? So children having tampons in the bathroom, boys having tampons in the bathroom is a very small thing for giants. And I said that on purpose, right? Yeah, they're like little boys, they were talking about having tampons in boys' bathrooms, right? And that's a bigger indication of the dogmatic practices of Americans as a whole, right? And it shows how far we go into religious practices as well as feed over into a religious zealotry, right? And this is also to Lynn's point as well, because that didn't hurt anybody. That didn't take anybody's money away. People still had Medicaid after that. People weren't being turned around from voting because somebody thought about having tampons in the bathroom. Your religious beliefs were hurt. Your feelings might have been hurt because people have to begin to parent their children and influence them more.
Or teach them.
Right. That didn't hurt anybody. It literally hurt nobody. I can go and do thousands of hours of study to show that nobody came out hurt because a tampon thing was installed, right? Mm-hmm. That is not the same conversation as saying about the little boy that went into the girl's bathroom and pretended to be somebody who wasn't. That was something totally different. But these are the types of things that religious zealotry takes into its breasts, and it holds it, and it nourishes it, and it grows into white Christian nationalism. Yes, again, to answer the question, there is no party that has a monopoly over racism, hatred, prejudice, bigotry, or anything of that nature, and we will not be foolish enough to believe so. There is no one gender, right, that can't use the other. There is no religion that's better than the other. Your religion is subjective. Your practices are subjective. These are your personal things and beliefs. And when you get away from what was mentioned in the background concepts, regardless of whether or not I agree with it, but when you begin to get away from tangible facts, that's when you end up having Donald Trump. That's what happens. This is what happens. And you yield, your whole country begins to yield itself over to nothing more, nothing less than a spinning ball of emotion with no facts behind. That becomes an issue. My closing statements are actually my 30 seconds that I just wanted to remind people of because of the government shutdown, which is what I was going to actually do a segment about that sometime tomorrow morning, just a 5-10 minute segment, nothing in depth because the Democrats are going to give it up. Let's be honest about that, right? So,
whoa.
No, let me get my 30 seconds. I want my 30 seconds. But I wanted to say something that a great general actually said that we're losing sight of. We don't take an oath to a king or a queen or a tyrant or a dictator. We take an oath to the Constitution. And if we lead with that, we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. Those are my 30 seconds around the horn. Now, as I just mentioned, tomorrow I'll do a bit of a pre-recording. I'll send a text message out to see if anybody is actually available to do it. But it's just going to be a quick 5 to 10 minute segment about the shutdown and just giving some details and facts about it so we can push it out and post it. So with that being said, go ahead, Rich.
Why do you feel like you said the Democrats will give up by Friday or give up? Why do you feel that way?
Because they're weak back.
Okay.
They let us down every single time.
Well, all right, so wouldn't they have already caved if they had a weak back?
No, not yet. Not yet.
Are you saying big back in disguise?
No. I'm just saying that when they come to assist, when they get to a point of saying, listen, we'll shut this whole thing down. Eventually, Chuck Schumer or somebody else is going to say, hey guys.
Hold on a second.
Hey guys.
Hold on a second. But wait a minute. When I get on the Democrats, that's one thing. But you got to keep hope. So if the Democratic Party, and I see you, Liberty Twitcher, and I'm glad he comes on. I wish he would come out with his real name and come on the show. Because some of the things he says I agree with, but I don't know from the spirit and how he's saying it from. But he makes a lot of strong points. But my thing is, the Democrats are fighting, and they're saying this is how we're going to fight. Whether it's political or whatever, why would you not, and if you vote Democrat, why would you not encourage them to keep fighting? And I don't want to see no one lose their jobs. But when people say, oh, they'll bend over, they'll break. Maybe you're right from the past, but don't you want to still keep hope alive? Because if you believe that they're just going to give up and you believe that Trump's going to create a fascist society, then our country's already doomed. And the last time I checked, I know brothers and sisters in the ghetto, they've given up on themselves many, many years ago. And that's why they do the behaviors or exhibit the behaviors they do, because they've given up. So we can never give up on this country. We're military. We don't give up.
I didn't say I gave up. I'm just saying what the actual political.
He said the Democrats are going to give up.
But they may not.
But all I'm saying is, if they were spineless the way they're portrayed, we wouldn't be here.
Right.
We would already have an agreement.
And
we would have had an agreement at the deadline yesterday.
And Jay Glass, what you were talking about as far as like the religion, I think that when people use it, when they take it out of context, then it becomes very, 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 very dangerous.
But my question is this.
We got to go. We got to go. Last point. Go ahead. Last point.
And I know why Trump won in 2016 and 2024. And I told you, immigration, even though the transgenders are a very small issue. The problem is when you've discriminated against the gay community all these years and you committed violence against them, that was clearly wrong. Clearly wrong. But then when the Democrats try to make up for all that violence and discrimination, and then they start saying that a boy can be a girl and compete in girl sports, then they've gone too far to make up for all the abuse the gay community went through. So when a person like me says, hey, this is not right on this particular issue within the gay community, then I come across as being a bigot, and I'm not a bigot. But it's a little tricky on that issue. But I feel like maybe the gay community has kind of hijacked a lot of things from the Black community. I'm done.
So I'm giving the Democrats 24 hours. That's why I didn't want to do the actual thing today. That's why I didn't want to talk about the shutdown today. I'm trying to give them 24 hours. That's why tomorrow I'll talk about it tomorrow to see exactly how long they're going to end up lasting. So,
look, I'm gonna take a paycheck. Once somebody misses a paycheck,
yeah, I know, right? That's when it's going.
And it's gonna be on and popping.
Yeah.
But if
nobody missed a check yet.
If you keep putting the same two parties in the White House and in the federal government, you get the same thing over and over and over again. Until you take people who don't belong to neither party, who doesn't take money from lobbyists, and they can win elections, you will never have, quote, a real.
So here you go again talking about the exception.
Oh.
So
when you already know what the rule is.
Okay.
The rule is two parties. That's it. That's the rule. I'm not gonna live to see an independent president.
How do you know that?
Right now, I don't, but that's because that's what I believe.
We gotta cut it. We gotta cut it. We gotta cut. We can bring that back at another time. We can bring that back.
I never thought I'd see a black president. No, I was wrong.
We can bring
I was wrong. I was wrong about that too.
With that being said,
But that's what I believe. And then lo and behold,
Women are
All right.
see, my belief doesn't make it
You gotta
fact.
cut it off.
My belief is just my belief. I gotta come down on one side or the other.
Okay.
with that being said, the Pulse Wednesday nights. This is the topic. These are the topics. This is the show that we'll be doing this on, and I'll be hitting y'all up with a few extra little segments and nuggets later on just to keep y'all enticed and engaged. And then watch out for all the other powerful segments that are going to be coming out. We're going to be working with our teams to start getting things moving and popping, and this is about to take off. We on a whole nother level, family. So with that being said, as always, thank y'all for coming out. God bless and good night.
Good night.